Hey, I'm here with Dale, a student in my e-commerce mentorship program. Now, he started working with me about 6 months ago. And when he started with me, he had done maybe at most $1,000 in a month in sales. His website was on Wix, and it was frankly the ugliest website I had seen in my life. And if you fast forward 6 months later, in October, Dale just hit his second back-to-back $10,000 month. He is scaling. He is in a position where he's probably a month or two out from quitting his day job and going full-time into his clothing brand. And so I just want to share a little bit of Dale's story and take you through his exact journey to have the success that he's now having. I know when he started, all he wanted was consistent daily sales. Now he's getting 10 to 20 sales a day, and consistency is no longer the issue. Now it's profiting, increasing the profit margin, increasing the overall average order value. And it's cool to watch somebody's goals shift from just consistency to now how do we maximize our profitability with said consistency. So take a seat, get some popcorn, and enjoy my conversation with Dale.
Okay.
What is Anesti? What is the brand? Why did you start it?
Anesti started in prayer and seeking guidance. And the answer to that was to bring me into conversations, bring Christ into conversations. One of the easiest ways that we found to do that is through artwork and t-shirts to spark those conversations, specifically vivid artwork, not just text to graphics, but actual graphics with meaning behind.
Okay.
We launched our first shirt and website in September 15th of 24.
Okay.
So about 7 months in, we were struggling to make daily sales. There was something that I didn't know, and not knowing what that was, but knowing that I didn't know it is what led me to you, Stephen.
Got it. Okay. So we talk about problem aware, solution aware. You were very problem aware.
Yes.
Just it's funny. It's always working out that way.
That being said, we looked at other programs, other coaching things, and God didn't want us there. That's not where he wanted us. And I think on our first call, you were about to end the call.
Yeah, it definitely was.
But God has a reason and a purpose for everything.
Yeah.
We went from me knowing absolutely nothing about Meta and throwing money away on something that I didn't understand to an understanding of Meta and the ads platform, to an understanding of creative and how to test it, from testing the actual creative to a budget number that goes along with that. And let's see, in 5-6 months, we went from testing and figuring out to now we're actually starting to scale.
Let me ask you this. All right. So I think you were saying, so if we started, I think we started together around what, May or June?
Maybe April or May.
Okay. So you launched last September. Walk me through what you were doing between September and April. What was the strategy? What platform were you on? What were the results?
So our website was a Wix website, and we had it hosted through them. I would say that time period was getting on our feet, figuring out day-to-day basics, and then attempting to discover what the next step was. And as we go through that progression, it's kind of like finding your way in the dark. And in a couple of steps, you're going to bump into something, but is it a couch? Is it a chair? Is it the end table with the lamp on it?
Hilarious. Okay.
And somewhere in there, and it's on the wall, you just don't know where the wall is. There's a light switch.
Okay.
Stephen, you've been my light switch.
Well, thank you, Dale. But I'm really curious though, before we met, what was the strategy to get sales? What was the strategy to get your name out there?
Social media, number one, and word of mouth, number two.
Social media being organic posting on Instagram?
Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. And so how often were you posting?
We post every day. We started posting every day around September 15th, right around the time we launched our first shirt.
Okay. And so you posted every friggin' day from September through April. What kind of sales were you doing each month?
Inconsistent is the biggest descriptor of that.
Okay.
Maybe $1,000, maybe a couple $100.
Okay.
Maybe some custom things, enough to keep moving forward.
It was like you were getting enough proof from the marketplace that you had a good idea, but not enough for you to say, hey, this could be a business.
Through the prayer and obedience, it was going to be a business at that point.
Okay.
God sends you the right people at the right time. My old kickboxing coach used to say, When the student is ready, the master will appear.
Yeah, it's
And
funny.
then as I progressed in there and got to the point of teaching, he said, when the master is ready, the student will appear.
How about that? Okay. I love that.
So, and I think the mentorship, one thing I think it is absolutely missing in culture as a norm. To seek out mentorship is one thing. To find quality mentorship is a completely different harbor.
What were kind of your reservations before working with me?
I thought you were going to be like the other coaching programs that we had decided not to go into.
Hmm.
I was at a point where I didn't need people to sell me on what we were going to do. And I'd had that conversation several times. And like you were about to kick me off the call, I've ended a couple calls.
Yeah. Can you kind of elaborate for me? Like, what does that mean? Like, you didn't, because, like, if anybody goes and talks to like a marketing agency, the marketing agency is going to be like, oh, well, we're going to scale you to blah, blah, blah. Like, what, that wasn't the conversation you wanted to have.
Those weren't the conversations we had. The conversations that we were having were people trying to convince us of what we were doing. We didn't need convincing.
Okay.
When God had us set out on this venture, we launched a t-shirt merch company in the t-shirt merch capital of Alabama. I can go to Main Street and I can hit 3 print shops with a rock standing on Main Street. And I had doubts about that. And I questioned God. I was like, you sure about this? Just go and do. Go do.
Okay.
And so I've found that being disobedient with God is not a good return on investment.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, okay, but wait. So, like, you had conversations with other mentorships, other agencies, and what was like the taste in your mouth? What was the feeling after all of that before you and I met?
Me personally, it left a bad taste in my mouth. It is only through continued faith and prayer that we continued moving forward. And if I hadn't continued to move forward, I wouldn't have met you.
Okay. What was the sentiment that you were hearing from the people you spoke to?
2 of them were almost exactly the same. Are you ready to do this? Are you willing to invest in this? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to put in the hard work? And it was just like on repeat. It's like, well, if you're not going to listen now, you're not going to listen when I spend a couple $1,000s, when I spend $10,000.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus told us don't cast pearls before swine. That means don't waste your words.
Okay. So what was it about our conversation where you said, yeah, I'll pay him a couple grand?
I didn't feel like you were trying to convince me of something.
Yeah.
It was more like, hey, here's the door if you want to walk through it. Not, hey, I'm on the other side of the door. This is what you got to do to get to the door.
Yeah. I
It
see what
was
you're-
just like, hey,
If you want to learn, I'm here. If you don't want to learn, then,
yeah.
there's a library down the street.
And then I would say within the first week and definitely within the first month, the way that you coach people and people that are in completely different businesses, the way that you care and the way that you steer focus is very admirable.
Well, thank you. I guess for the sake of this video, I'd love to hear if you have any specific examples of this.
Yeah. So anybody that's starting an ecom brand knows that most of the days are going to suck. Most of the days are going to be confusing. And you have a way of focusing on the wins and the achievements. And without focusing on the wins and achievements, however big, however small they may be, if you've got a bunch of little things that went wrong and one big thing that went great, it's easy to focus on all the little things that went wrong. And that is demoralizing.
Yeah,
and
I
you
get
have
that.
a way of shifting that focus.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I try to say this a lot, like sales, success, revenue, all of that, that's a byproduct of having a tight and a strong sales funnel. So it's like every little victory we get in tightening up that sales funnel eventually pays dividends down the road. And and so it's like that's just kind of where I try to keep my head. I had a job as at an agency years ago, and it was like every single meeting start with the wins. Can't get to the criticisms until we celebrate those wins. So that's kind of where that has come from. But I'm curious, so like you had done 2,000, maybe $3,000 in sales, something like that.
Yeah, in that first quarter. It was
Okay. What was the first month like working with me? And like what was revenue looking like when we started launching ads and everything?
Let me share my screen with you.
Okay.
So that's not going to show up there. So this was our beginning, May 11th.
Right. Okay. So I also just want to point out, I think the first thing I had you do was switch from Wix to Shopify.
Yep.
And I remember you were like, oh man, I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. But I also remember, and I say this, with love, you had quite possibly the ugliest website I had seen in my life on
Yeah.
Wix.
Yeah.
And like I look at websites for a living, and it was really, really
Yeah.
ugly. So, okay, all right. So now we're here, you're on Shopify month. So like in the first quarter, okay, you did what you've done in like the 7 months before then.
Yes.
Okay.
Or 5 months.
Okay.
Somewhere.
And I
That
mean,
is
we
that's
start.
a consistent sales.
Yeah, so talk to me about, give me 1 second. So there's some confusion about the group call, but 1 sec. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. There was some confusion about today's group call. So Q2, holy crap. So Q2 was 1,000.
This is
Q3,
Q3.
so you went from $1,000 quarter to a $15,000 quarter, and you went from a 1% convert. Well, you were at like 0.6 on Wix to a 1% to a 1.6% conversion over here.
Yep.
That's so good. I also just want to point out conversion rates are very much dependent on the industry that you're in. And
Yeah.
fashion is by far, fashion and jewelry have the lowest conversion rates. So like I don't in a million years expect a 3% conversion rate from a fashion brand. But I mean, wow, you're already at a 1.6. Hell yeah.
And then so July ad
Wait,
testing,
okay.
August more ad testing,
Yeah.
and
Wait, click the
then
revenue instead of the sessions.
yeah.
Okay, so July testing, smooth, smooth, smooth. Then, okay, and then August. Can we see the conversion rate, how that shifted over time? Okay, so pretty static, pretty consistent.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then what's Q4? I mean, it's October 23rd, so we're 23 days into Q4. Oh, 2024, wrong year.
Yep.
That'll do it.
Let's go here.
Oh, it must not do complete. Okay. So you did $14,000 last quarter and you've done $8,000 this month alone.
Yes, in 3 weeks.
That's freaking awesome. How's that feel?
I'm trying to take it all in.
What does that
It's
mean? I mean, like, all right, so look, like the biggest problem before we started working together wasn't revenue, but it was inconsistent sales. Now we're 23 days into the month and you've done 142 sales. So revenue aside, the consistency is there. How does that part feel? I mean, this is like, how does that feel? And like, what are the downstream effects of having that kind of consistency for a business owner?
to me, it's signaling the next step. It's where we have the foundation and we can start growing and building on. And, back to prayer and guidance from God, how fast we do that is entirely up to Him.
Okay.
Like, I prayed for this, God sent me you.
Well, thank you.
We continued to grow and to show up daily. Without showing up daily, you're not going to grow. If you don't have the discipline to show up, it's not going to happen. I
Pretty
can
sure.
sit on my couch all day long and either play video games or watch whatever. It's not going to make anything grow.
Yeah. I mean, you're the living, breathing proof that like every single day you make a couple new changes to the website and you continue to see that performance improve. Like we could talk about how I mean, you went from a 1.6 to a 1.5 conversion rate, still totally fine. What I want to look at there also is like the AOV. I mean, we've been playing with so many different things now. We're playing with email as a revenue channel, increasing the AOV, increasing the return rate of people, repeat purchase rate. So it's like all these other things are starting to come to fruition now, where you're not solely relying upon ad spend. And how's that? Like, I mean, is that more stress, less stress? How's that, impacting you?
I would say it's less stress. It's more comfort's the wrong word. I don't know.
Well, it's
Comfort.
predictability is what I would say.
Yes. And I go
Mm.
back to that foundation. So one of the other things that you've encouraged and brought to light is not just our ROAS from meta ads, but the efforts that we're putting into email, how all these things come together for the combined ROAS. So when we
Mhm.
look at our conversion rate of 1.6, 1.5, whatever it may be for that particular time frame, we're actually higher than that. And doing simple things like, customer service. Customer service pays off for us big. Answering an
How's-
email,
Yeah.
calling somebody on the phone. It takes us 3 minutes.
And you see the sales, you see the revenue directly correlated to the more effort you put into those channels.
Oh yeah, and repeat customers too. See, our AOV went from 33 to 50 over the past month.
$33 to $50 over the last.
Yeah.
That's almost double. Like that's a huge AOV increase. And it's like now the next step, let's get that to 80.
Yep.
That's
What comes after a $10,000 month, a $20,000 month?
yeah. Well, I mean, after that, you do 30, keep growing. You find more products, find maybe subscription items to put people on, all sorts of different things. Yeah. So I guess what I'd like to know, so we've been working together 5 or 6 months now. Seems like you've really learned a ton and like you could probably do a lot of this on your own. Where's like the motivation to keep coming back, showing up, keep meeting with me and putting in that hard work?
The insights, a lot of times we find ourselves, especially going into endeavors such as this, that we can't see the forest for the trees. And so your insights are extremely helpful. The community aspect, when you're in a group with other entrepreneurs and sharing simple ideas. Somebody once told me what is ordinary for you is extraordinary for somebody else.
Yeah.
And what we don't know can absolutely astound us when we find out. So simple little tips and tricks that make a huge difference.
That's awesome. What would you say to somebody who's like not sure if this is the right opportunity for them or the right spot to learn how to scale their store? Are you typing it out or something? Or?
No, I actually wrote it this morning. I refuse to allow my excuses in my mind to grow into giants that keep me from living to my full potential, by Sean King. Excuses are not just bad habits, they're mental strongholds that exalt themselves against the truth of God's calling on your life. Every excuse begins as a thought, a whisper of doubt, fear, or justification. Leave it unchecked and it grows into a giant that stands between you and obedience. But we haven't been left unarmed. God's word gives us divine power to demolish those arguments, not negotiate with them. Take every thought captive, make it bow to Christ. Your mind is the first battlefield, and victory begins when you refuse to let excuses survive another day.
It's a great mic drop. Yeah, I mean, like my feedback from what you're saying is like, I feel like knowledge aside, my primary job here is to hold people accountable. Like, I feel like you can get knowledge on YouTube, you can get knowledge from like ChatGPT, but you really don't get accountability outside of something like this and meeting every single day or 3 days a week or something like that. And I think
Yep.
that's probably, I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, like I could give you a bunch of videos that teach you everything, but are you going to watch them? Are you going to ingest them and like understand them? Maybe not. So, Dale, I'm curious what's next for you. Like, what are your Q4 goals? What are your 2026 goals?
Q4 goals. I mean, it's the holiday season. We got Black Friday coming up and we got Christmas coming up.
Yeah.
I don't see why we can't do 20,000 by the end of Q4 a month.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say 20,000 total. I'm like, yeah, we're absolutely gonna do that.
Yeah.
20,000 a month. Yeah. So I think like we've talked about before, it comes down to like really utilizing all the marketing channels at your disposal, getting more creative with the ads, more creative diversity, and we can always go into more detail with this later, but also like starting to ramp up that email cadence and the AOV thing. I mean, one of my favorite things is the steal your hoodie season. I love that, but I think there's ways that we could lean into that even further. So we'll chat about that, but like I'm really excited to see what you do this Q4, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, Dale, thank you so much for giving me your time right here and let me exploit your success. Yeah, I do appreciate it, and I know we got a group call coming up in a minute, so I'll see you in a few.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Bye.